we left off in a very interesting situation last game session, where Dr. Ford and Benny experienced a bit of a spicy outcome to some challenges. Mr. Prophet has, I guess the only person who would really know this would be Dr. Ford, but Mr. Prophet does not seem to be anywhere around from where you were. So currently, not giving anything away with what happened, Dr. Ford, you're sitting on the ground in this chamber, surrounded by large concrete, or not concrete, but large stone caskets, effectively. The rotting skeletal remains of a knight on the ground next to you, suffering from some pretty heinous wounds, while Benny lays torpid across the room from a self-inflicted knife wound to the chest, just several feet away from you.
Not my boo.
Not. So what's going through Dr. Ford's mind at this point?
So another housekeeping thing. She rolled a 10 on her rouse check on the ashes to ashes, which means she's also gotten a stain.
Yes.
So she is in pain. She's upset. She's upset with herself. She's upset with everything around her. The corpse in the coffin of Premisil, I believe, is still.
Oh yeah, you can still hear the risen body of the Primacine banging on the lid to his casket and screaming.
This is not how the night was supposed to go.
The rest of you guys missed some shit.
Clearly.
We also do have our, I do have game notes just to let you know. Dr. Ford, you are at a hunger of 2 and you're -1 willpower.
I believe she ended up picking up a couple extra hunger.
Sorry. I that was session 3. Sorry.
Yeah.
Dr. Ford, you're at a hunger of 4 with 5 aggravated damage and 2
one
willpower.
Superficial,
yeah.
2 willpower and a stain.
Yes. That is where you are sitting right now.
I just stepped away to make a phone call. What have you done?
But the good news is she's no longer being affected by the perfectionism compulsion. She solved that.
Yes, you handled that situation perfectly. Benny, on the other hand, although you are laying on the floor torpid with a knife in your chest, you have a blood hunger of 4. You have no health, and you are down 2 willpower as well. I'm going to go ahead and let you two think about what you've done. And we're going to go ahead and get Emil and Paul caught up to the situation. So, Paul, let's start with you. While they were trying to figure out how to open this large door with a large medieval looking seal over it that had 6 locks on it, can I get a intelligence plus academics roll from you? 3 successes? Okay. You know for a fact that symbol that is on the door is one of the old clan symbols that has not been used for about 500 or 600 years. But you do know that it's kindred related, definitely. And while you are watching them figure things out, and you see, I believe it was Mr. Prophet who grabbed the gravestone, moved it, and created the click that opened the prime door.
I think it was. Oh wait, no, that was a mill, wasn't it?
Was that a mill? Okay.
Or maybe it was a mill told Paul to do it. I think.
Yeah, I think we were both messing with it.
Okay.
Someone did it correctly.
Okay. While that's being futzed with and moved around and the door opens, there is a lingering sense of duty that you are feeling, Paul. You've felt this before. This is the thing that makes you disappear from time to time. Would you like to step into a private room and have this conversation?
Yeah, sure.
Paul, um, your connections with the Amasi Noctis,
Hmm.
um, they are they are being as loyal as the Lasombra can be to the Camarilla. I don't want you to think that you're spying on them or anything like that, but they also are trying to be smart about things. They are making sure that the Camarilla is the appropriate way to go, with the knowledge that that the Lasombra clan founder is not dead like they thought he was for like 600 or 700 years.
Hmm.
That he's alive, and he has nothing but vengeance for the rest of the clan. This this tunnel that seems to be behind, you can just know that there's a passageway behind that door. It it is radiating something that the Amasi Noctis wants. There's something in there that holds some type of power that will further their goals. They don't know what it is, but they know that it radiates a very strong religious aura. So you are being charged by your clan to get it and to bring it to them. We're not really sure how you're going to be able to do that around the coterie.
Is it like a I'll know it when I see it kind of thing?
You will know it when you see it. That feeling, that urgency that you are picking up since that door opened and revealed the seal, should only get stronger in its presence.
Okay.
And on that, they will release you. And the way that they're contacting you is very strange. It's very similar to Shadow's Step, but it leads directly into a chamber to the Amasi Noctis, where there's just a collection of 13 shrouded Lasombra members, so that you don't know their identity, but they are just authorities of the clan.
Alrighty.
All right.
Sounds spooky.
We will let's get you back in over there then. So
All right.
the shadows will basically put you out right where you were just moments before.
Okay.
Then it's a problem.
Okay. I got back. Okay, so what's going to end up happening, Emil, is as you're finishing your phone call,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to hear two very loud gunshots coming from the direction of where your coterie was.
I'm gonna book it over there.
Okay. You get over there.
Ready the rifle that I brought.
Okay. You get over to where they were, and the seal is laying on the ground in pieces. And a sliding door has opened up, revealing an old, musty tunnel that leads deep into the earth. But the only person who's there when you arrive is Paul, who seems to be stepping out of a shadowy corner when you come back.
Darling, where is everyone?
I was gonna ask you the same thing. I had to step away. I thought you were watching them.
I had to step away to make a phone call. I thought you were all watching each other.
Oh, well, it seems like they've gotten the door open.
And it seems they weren't intending on waiting on everyone.
Well,
Shall we?
we shall.
he
Paul will lead the way.
he kind of like sticks his arm out for you to take it.
He'll grab it. He'll go along with it.
So the Lasombra and the Toreador are walking arm in arm into a dark, musty tunnel.
Yep.
Okay. So, God, this again. Um, so you find yourself in this dark tunnel that's directly under the cemetery. And it's so old and neglected. The smell is just stale air and old death. And if you look up at the ceiling, you can actually see some of the old wooden caskets collapsing through the ground, only being held up by tree roots. Some of the partial skeletons are laying on the floor from where they've actually fallen out of the where they've actually fallen out of the caskets themselves and landed on the ground. And it's just a long, dark tunnel.
Left or right?
Are you asking me?
Mm-hmm. Or is there only one direction to go?
Currently, there's only one direction to go.
Okay.
But as you wander through the darkness, and how is everybody's night vision in here? I know, Emil, do you have heightened senses?
I do, yeah.
Okay, you can see fairly well. How's Paul's night vision?
Impeccable. He's got Oblivion sight.
Okay, just making sure. Most of the ground is made of dirt. You can see where there were some wood planks where it kind of like made almost like a boardwalk. And there's stacks upon stacks of old, rotten wood coffins just placed haphazardly all over the place. And after a few minutes of walking, you are going to come to a interesting little end pass. Towards the end of this tunnel, you're going to find 5 offshoot tunnels to your left and 5 offshoot tunnels to your right.
I will make a point of letting you know that Emil is using heightened senses for everything but smell.
Understood. Emil, if you'd like to
maybe
roll...
maybe not taste either.
Okay, that's probably a good idea. If you want to roll a perception check, wits plus awareness, you can go ahead and add your aspects.
Okay.
Paul, on the other hand, you know exactly which of these tunnels has that feeling I was describing before.
So Paul will kind of come to a stop with Emil and see where he seems to want to go first, but his gaze is definitely down one of the tunnels.
Wits awareness, you said, and add aspects.
Wits awareness, and you can add your aspects if you would like. Yes.
Do you happen to have note of? Okay, my hunger was at 2. That seems right. 3 successes.
3 successes. Okay. Um, looking down on the floor, you see a variety of footprints that have been there for God knows how long. However, several of those footprints do look like they're modern. And what I mean by that is like tread on the bottom of the shoes and things like that.
Right.
Um, the modern ones are heading down one tunnel. Paul, from what you can tell, whatever the hell it is Emil is studying on the ground is heading down the same tunnel that you feel the pull from.
Perfect. Emil, do you see something?
Yes, it would appear our coterie has moved on ahead this way.
Okay, we better follow them.
Well,
He seems quite eager to continue down that tunnel.
Yeah,
Okay.
he kind of gives you a raised eyebrow. You never say we should. You always go, I can.
Oh, well. Times change. Who knows what they've gotten themselves into?
Well, then by all means, dear, lead the way.
Alrighty.
That sense that I was telling Paul about is definitely gaining traction as you walk down this tunnel. And there's a sharp turn to the left, which the floor as you are walking starts to become more and more placed slab stone. The walls are going from earth to large stone bricks, gray stone bricks. And you come face to face to a chamber that had torches at one point, but they're not burning any longer, and a very large door that the wood is completely rotten. The only thing holding it up is the iron bracings that are around the outside. This is a fairly decorative door to have underground. And there's a large sign over the door that is apparently read in ancient Czech. Does anybody have the ability to read that?
I'd say that I do.
I don't believe I would.
Okay. The door, however, is open. And parts of it, the wooden parts that have rotted away, are just kind of scattered on the ground. It does look like somebody recently opened this door by like the dirt on the floor and stuff.
Checking the phone that Omnis gave me.
Yes.
Did you say it's just like? Is it like an old BlackBerry?
It's like an old flip phone.
Okay. Then never mind.
It's old. It's
He'll check.
It's old fashioned. You're not going to get any good. There's no video quality on it. If it does have a camera, it's really really shitty, and it's just a big bulky like old phone from the 90s.
Okay. I'll check. He'll check his instead. He'll check his like mortal business phone, which is like a more modern iPhone or like smartphone.
Okay.
Does it appear like if I have service down here? Like, are we far enough down that
I think you would still have service where you are right now.
Okay.
There's enough infrastructure in the streets above to be able to pick up on something where you are.
Okay. You said we could identify this as like ancient Czech writing.
This is the kind of stuff that you see on like landmarks around the city. It looks familiar.
Okay. Would I be able to do like a like a search of the characters and what they might mean.
Give me an intelligence plus technology roll.
Oh, I'm so great at this.
Well, you could always hand it to the Lasombra and see how that goes.
Yeah.
Yes, give me your phone.
1 success.
1 success. I will actually give this to you. The plaque above the door says, "The path of Cain is the only way."
I hand my phone to Paul.
It shorts out.
Yeah, he just looks at the blank screen.
I literally just touch the phone to Paul's shoulder, wait for the screen to just go dark, and then put it back in his coat pocket.
Yeah.
The path to Cain is what?
The only way.
Yeah.
The path of Cain is the only way.
The path of Cain is the only way. At this point, he completely like pulls his other arm away from Paul, and grips up on the burst rifle.
Everything okay?
I don't know how familiar you are with the old enemies of the Camarilla, but just a precautionary. Continue on.
All right, I can do that. And this time he'll lead the way. He'll just go straight through the door.
Okay. You are going to go into the door, into the darkness, which even Paul seems to be having a bit of an issue seeing through. It doesn't seem like a natural darkness. But as you pass through it, things come to light. And I mean that by saying that the walls in this room that you enter seem to be emitting their own light. And you come into this room that's very like that scene at the end of Labyrinth where there's just stairways going in every which direction.
How easy is it for Paul to kind of follow this feeling he's getting?
I think,
Is it
truthfully, that you could probably just walk straight through this without an issue. You could follow it directly to where you're going. However, I will say that this winding path has doorways that go this way and that way, stairways that lead up and down. Um, Whenever there's an end pass, like a spot where more than one stairway converges, there's a pillar in the room that the stairways actually seem to be anchored to, but each one of them has a plaque that is in the it's a big brass not brass but it's a big bronze plaque that is shaped like a scroll. At the bottom of the scroll is another one of those clan shields that you saw outside. The same clan shield that you saw guarding the grave. And there's writing, again, in Old Czech. Or, sorry, no, it's not in Old Czech. It seems to be some kind of cuneiform. But Paul could just walk right past it.
Paul looks kind of eager as he turns around to Emil, because they were both, well, he was kind of taking Emil's lead, following the footprints.
Yeah.
Are they still visible, or now that we've kind of come to like the more
No.
tile floor, it's gone?
No, you wouldn't be able to follow anything on these. The path is clean of any debris.
Okay. He looks to Emil and says, "Emil, do you trust me?"
He kind of gives you a uh, his you can tell he's trying to keep a like composed but yet puzzled look, and in reality, like the truth runs right across his face of absolutely not. Um, but he's trying. Why?
I have a certain sense down here, and I think it's leading us where we need to go. Will you follow me?
Well, if my only other option is to be left alone down here, then I suppose I shall.
All right. Well, I'm hoping our friends are at the end of this, so just hold on to my arm and we'll get there.
Lead the way. He opens. He's kind of tightens up on his grip with the rifle with his one arm, his other arm, and then grabs a hold of your forearm and follows you.
Off he goes. He will make a beeline or wherever this sense seems to take him.
Okay. I need Paul to do a 3 and done test. So I need 3 different rolls from you.
All right.
And what I need is a wits plus awareness plus your oblivion rating, or wits plus insight plus your oblivion rating, whichever is highest.
Okay.
And
3 times,
3 times,
including hunger dice or no?
including hunger dice.
Okay.
And this counts as an oblivion test, so if you get 10s or 1s, it will take effect.
Oh boy. I think 6, 7, and 9.
Okay. When you get down to the first one, the first like plaque where you have to decide if you're going left or right, and you can't really make out the language, you take a second to gain your bearings. But other than that, you rush right through it, and there are about half a dozen of those plaques leading to different rooms with stranger and stranger configurations of stairs. But when you finally get through, you walk through one of those shadow barriers again, and you find yourself at the base of a very large room that has stone floors with very detailed, intricate carvings into each of the stones, brick walls, old torches that are burnt out. I believe I said 3. 3 incredibly old, um, highly decomposed corpses that are wearing leather armor and have rusted up scimitar style blades around the room. It looks like these people were attacked highly and overpowered. This room also has a lot of carve outs in the walls where bodies have been placed in the past, and they're just barely there, decayed remnants of corpses.
Does this feel like the end destination?
Oh, you definitely feel like you're in the right direction.
Okay. He will step towards the center of the room and kind of try and get a sense of if there's something along the walls or if it could perhaps be one of these old decayed corpses that he's being drawn towards.
You're actually being led more around a corner. Seems to be the only place to actually go. But it leads to a doorway that had a portcullis, one of those big barred doors that fall down from the ceiling, in its way at one point. But it looks like somebody has busted through it. Around the time that you see that, though, and there's a stairway leading upwards after that, you you hear a gunshot go off further down the tunnel, and a lot of sound of commotion, possible combat happening up ahead.
I glance at Emil and say, I think we maybe better start running.
Yeah, Emil's already like moving in that direction.
Okay. This leads to a very tight, not really a winding, well, it is a winding staircase, but it's more of a blocky, this goes straight up, takes a sharp turn to the left, goes up, takes a sharp turn to the left, straight up. But every landing that you come to has various piles of old rags and ashes just laying all over the floor.
At any time, does Paul get kind of pulled in a different direction, or is it still?
There's really no other direction to go. It's just going straight
Okay.
up. However, you are going to come to the top of these stairs where it looks like the stairs walk directly up into a landing where a very large stone mechanism has been moved out of the way. And you come to an area that has several above ground. Well, you don't know if you're actually still underground or not, but in this room there are a good dozen stone caskets. One towards the middle is emitting a whole bunch of noise, as it sounds like there's somebody trapped inside of it begging to be set free, screaming in terror and like pounding on the lid. But you also see Dr. Ford on the ground with some severe wounds, where there's also a suit of armor holding or with a sword next to it, next to her on the ground, and Benny across the room laying on the floor with a knife in his chest. And Dr. Ford can play again.
So she's just kind of laying there, and I don't know if she even at first notices when Paul and Emil get in to the room. I think she's just kind of shell shocked.
I would say with your state of mind and also the pounding on the casket, you probably don't hear them come in or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Prophet is nowhere to be seen.
I'm gonna say this and with the meaning it in the nicest way possible, but Mr. Prophet is often forgotten by Emil,
Yeah.
so that's pretty par for the course. Emil is going to like he comes into the room and like does the like checks his corners kind of thing. Seeing that doesn't appear to be any more of a threat currently in this room, he is going to move over and check on Benny. And as he's doing so, he's looking at Dr. Ford, or speaking to Dr. Ford. What happened?
So she doesn't physically react to those words, but she'll use a kind of like instinctively, as she's kind of done at least once or twice before now. She's going to use the power of telepathy to just kind of repeat the same words back to him. What happened? So he can hear it in his mind, but she didn't say it out loud.
While this is happening, Paul, that feeling that you have that's been guiding you all this time, it's leading you past where Benny is laying on the floor.
So he kind of stands and watches what Emil does, and he'll look at Dr. Ford, and almost take like a half step towards her before he turns and kind of seems to be distracted by something. And kind of seeing that Benny's over there as well, completely immobile, he'll follow Emil for the time being.
Okay.
Investigate that direction.
Okay.
Benny seems to be torpid, but not.
Yeah, he's laying on the ground. He's got a knife sticking out of his chest. He also has blood all over his mouth and hands and down his shirt.
Looking at him and then looking up to Dr. Ford, what kind of injuries does it appear? Like, is she also covered in blood?
I would say so. You want to describe your injuries, Dr. Ford?
So she has slashes on her chest. She's got what looks to be like a vertical slash, like down her side, like on her left side, where a blade may have cut her, and she has blood and some bite marks on the back of her neck. So there's a significant amount of blood there.
Okay.
These are not patient feeding marks either. These are animalistic, bestial, ravaging bite marks.
Emil is gonna kind of just glance about the room to make sure that there's no Mr. Prophet dressed pile of ash anywhere.
I mean, you could probably assume he's the one in the casket trying to get out.
That's very true. Yeah. And seeing that there's not much he can do for Benny at this moment, he's gonna move over and kind of squat down in front of Dr. Ford and try to like snap his fingers in front of her face.
So she will blink, and she will kind of like, her eyes will kind of just slowly focus on Emil.
Dr. Ford, are you with us?
And she'll say, "Am I?" She'll slowly try to start moving her arms to try to push herself up so that she's no longer laying down.
It's incredibly painful, but you can do it.
And so she'll get herself sitting up in just a way that her back is toward the coffin where the pounding is coming from.
Who's in the coffin?
Some old Czech.
Kindred?
No. At least, yeah, no. Oh, you got here. Okay. Right then. Is it dead? She kind of how do you point? How do you describe pointing with your nose? She kind of gestures with her head.
Yeah, you like motion towards it.
It being the suit of armor.
Emil's head kind of turns to look at it.
There is there's remnants of a putrefied corpse that have poured out of this full plate mail armor that's on the floor.
Yeah, so like Dr. Ford's vision is still kind of swimming at this point. So she isn't fully aware of everything that's happened immediately after collapsing on the ground. Is it dead?
It would appear so. Can you tell us what happened?
I think I killed a ghost.
His eyebrows kind of like raise. Well, it's not what I expected to hear, but good
Uh,
for you.
uh,
What happened?
okay.
Where's Mr. Prophet? What happened with Benny?
Um, Benny had a moment. Um, Gonna have an interesting conversation with him about that later. Um, can you help me open this casket behind me? I need to shut him up.
Emil just kind of puts a hand on your shoulder, stands up. Paul,
Paul will walk over, and barring anyone stopping him, will just grab the lid and yank it off.
Emil doesn't say anything. He just steps and takes aim with the gun, like
Oh,
toward the head of the sarcophagus.
Okay.
yeah.
So the sarcophagus, I believe Paul has the potence to be able to move this. Um, it has a symbol on it. Um, if you look at the scene art, it's the last picture that I put in there. That symbol is emblazoned on the top of of the top of the coffin. But as Paul rips it off, this highly desiccated, barely a human looking rotted corpse sits up in a panic, uh, screaming, "Let me out! Let me out!"
So she'll try to say, "Don't shoot him," and she'll attempt to kind of pull herself up so that she can reach over and, with some of the blood still left on her hand, touch the corpse as it's screaming and moving about.
Okay, do your oblivion roll.
What was the roll again? I need to quickly check. Oh, 4 hunger die. Perfect.
You are attempting ashes to ashes, I believe.
Yes.
It is a stamina plus oblivion roll and 1 rouse check.
Yeah. So I'm just going to do the roll and then I'll do the rouse check. Oh, 1 success.
Mm-hmm. You also got a 1, so you take a stain.
Lovely. Oh,
The,
the one that
the
was I need to do the um
Yes, the
yes.
next is a stamina plus oblivion.
So this is the rouse check, and then I'm gonna, because it's a level 1 power, I'm gonna re-roll that.
Oh, the
Because I
first
don't.
roll that you did was the power itself.
Yeah. So
Okay,
the first roll was the power.
you don't take a stain. That's you take a stain when you do your rouse checks.
Yeah.
So
Well, I
you're
failed
fine.
both. I failed both, so I still get hungrier. I'm at
Yeah,
hunger 5 now.
you're at
Lovely.
hunger 5 now. However, in a very painful and disturbing display, this this creature in the casket just slowly begins to, as dry as it is, it's effectively human jerky at this point, but as dry as it is, it starts to just bubble and ooze and just fall in under its own weight, gurgling in pain until the entire body itself is destroyed. If its arms were hanging out of the casket, they elongate, losing their rigidity at first, and then fall to puddles on the floor in a putrid, bubbling mess.
Think happy thoughts, Peter Pan.
Where did you learn that?
Think happy thoughts.
Uh,
Ugh.
Emil kind of has like a very it's not a look that Emil usually has on his face, in that there's no cheeky, flirtatious, like, smile or demeanor about, like, no part of his demeanor is the typical playful Emil. Dr. Ford, can you stand?
Barely. We
Think
need
you
to.
can
We need
walk.
to. Yeah. We need to walk. We need to get Benny out of here. Oh.
Paul is walking over to Benny, but his attention isn't 100% on the fallen code. Remember, is
Does
there a
oh, go ahead.
particular is there anything over in Benny's direction that's pulling to him, Mekhet?
Yes, actually, there's an entire other room around that corner where Benny is. And when you turn the corner, there is a slightly elevated, when I say slightly elevated, I just mean like 2 steps up platform where there is another one of those stone sarcophagus, where the lid has been completely, like, just removed. It's actually laying in 2 places on the floor next to it. There also seems to be some type of altar, what looks like, that has random, dusty, been there forever. There's a candle. There's what looks like a highly tarnished silver goblet. A few random coins that do not look familiar to anybody as currency nowadays. Um, and if I can get a wits plus awareness roll to anybody who's in that room, that would be good. Probably not Dr. Ford if you're in there, because your mind is on other things.
Emil seeing Paul walking in the other room.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the only other room at this point?
Well, next to the altar, sorry, I jumped the gun on the test, but next to the altar is also another large wooden door that's not in as bad shape as the one that was downstairs. But that one is just wide open. Just,
Yep. Paul would have peeked his head around the corner, seen kind of that there was something down there, and turned back to Emil and just said, "I'll be right back," and
uh,
disappeared.
Paul's awareness check. That's
He
4, 5, and 6 successes
On
that
a
I'm
messy
seeing
crit.
on a
okay.
messy crit. Paul is going to notice something, and due to the placement of where it is and your urge to find what you've been hunting for all this time, without thought, you're just going to run over to the altar, dig your hands into what looks like a wooden relief, like somebody had carved something into the wood of the altar, rip it out, exposing a door, like a small cabinet. And inside is a very large, decanter shaped bottle that has some kind of reddish black viscous fluid. The bottle's just covered in cobwebs and dust. But
Does it
once
have like a secure lid, or is it a?
it's a cork.
Okay.
It's an old cork that looks like it's half rotting. Um, but like you can tell once you get your hands on it, that it's not what's displaying the force that you're feeling. Which there's a little bit of like, damn it, like when you find the thing, but when you notice that door and you need to get it, you literally just shove your hands through the wood with all of your strength and chuck the door. So as Emil and Dr. Ford are sitting discussing what's going on, Paul walks into the other room, and you guys just hear a wooden shatter, and then see a small cabinet, the cabinet door to the thing flying out into the room and slamming into the wall. That will be your messy critical.
What are you doing?
One moment. I'm just searching for something.
What do you know that we don't?
Honestly, nothing, but there's something here I need. I just don't know what it is. He will have set the bottle of fluid on top of the altar as he continues to look over every inch of that little cabinet space.
Okay. There's nothing else in that cabinet. The force that you're feeling that's calling you is through that door. That's off to the right side of the altar. The liquid, and I say that in heavy quotation marks, is just this thick, sloshing, almost gel-like substance.
If
He's
if I understood correctly, if Paul moves off toward the door, leaving the liquid, Emil would walk up and see like what the hell he's doing.
I'm sorry, you do what now?
If did I understand correctly that Paul's like setting the decanter down and like
Yes.
walking off toward the door?
Yes, there's a bottle of some type of substance on the altar that's next to the casket.
Okay. Emil's going to walk in there like half like just half irritated, uh, and like just see what the hell it is that Paul's doing so frantically.
Am I understanding it that Paul's just walking through the door?
Yeah, once he sees there's really nothing left in his initial kind of jerk reaction to tear open that little casket or that little cabinet, he's a little bit more frustrated and he's leaving that behind as it's useless. And he's probably a couple steps towards the door whenever Emil walks in.
Okay. Yeah, you just see him walking right through the open door as you walk in then, Emil.
Emil will kind of walk over to the wooden relief, uh, where he like tore that off,
Mm-hmm.
and like see if it was like what it was carved to look like.
It kind of looks like that same symbol that was on the door, or was on the top of the grave.
Okay. And then I imagine that Emil is like kind of like 5 paces, 10 paces behind everything Paul has done. So as Paul's moving to the door, he's moving up to check out the relief, and then like he picks up the decanter and is like looking at the liquid, trying to figure out what it is like Paul's doing.
Yeah. Well, if you're just following Paul through the door.
Yeah.
Um,
He'll bring the decanter though.
okay. Paul walks into. First off, the decanter is actually surprisingly heavy.
Okay.
It's not so heavy you can't lift it, but it probably weighs about, say, about like 10 pounds.
Oh.
And it kind of like moves around with a thick, sickening sloshing.
Yeah.
But Paul walks into a room that just has a ridiculous amount of money in it. Just piles upon piles of coins and jewels and suits of armor that seem more decorative than actually useful, weapons that seem to be more ceremonial than anything else. And towards a back wall, there's what looks like another altar style table. And there's this, what looks like a gauntlet on full display being held up by a stand. And Paul that item is what's been calling you this whole time. Is that gauntlet?
So I'm assuming whenever he sees that, he kind of zeroes in on it, and he will actually run the rest of the way through that room until he gets up to the altar, and he'll observe it for a moment, and then reach out slowly and grab the gauntlet.
Okay. Once your hands touch the gauntlet, you are going to be taking an ag. Take 1
Not
aggravated
again.
damage as you touch the gauntlet. You will touch it, it will burn, and the gauntlet will just kind of fall over on the altar.
Yells out, both in pain and a little bit of frustration, as I'm assuming his hands are burning.
Mm-hmm.
He looks around. Is there any sort of viable looking cloth or anything
Most of it is
in the room
tattered
that's
from age, but you can definitely find like a cape or some type of mantle, possibly even bags, like old burlap sacks that have like coins in it or something that you could probably grab and dump those out and put this in.
yeah, that's what he'll do. He'll tear off a cape and also grab one of those sacks and just start emptying it out of whatever is in there.
Okay.
And he'll take the cape, wrap the gauntlet as best as he can, and then stuff it in the sack.
Okay. Once it's inside something and there's a barrier between your skin and the item, it does not burn.
Okay. So with that, he's satisfied. I'm not sure if Emil is watching this or if he got to witness any of it, but once
Emil,
that's done, oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say once that's done, he's kind of more taking in his surroundings and the ridiculous amount of ancient wealth around him. But he will start to pace his way back towards the entrance.
Emil is just standing in the door, like dumbfounded.
When he gets to the door, he just smiles. He's like, "I found it. Now let's get out of here."
You are going to have to explain some things when we get out of here,
I'll do my best.
but let's get out of here for now. Can you help carry Benny?
Yeah, I can do that.
See if I can't help Dr. Ford. Trevor, can you find your way out now that we've made our way in?
Um, I think I can retrace my steps, but he has no guiding force anymore.
Yes, without the guiding force getting you where you need to go, it will be a another 3 and done, but this time it will be wits plus insight for memory.
Okay. Yeah, I can try and remember the path back.
Yeah, like, I can make a test to try to do it, but see how. Um, as we're like going back into that other room with Dr. Ford and Benny, um, can I like he'll let the gun kind of hang off of the shoulder strap
Mm-hmm.
and holding the decanter. Like, does this look like Vitae?
It is. You get the sense just by holding it that it is blood, but it's so thick and so dark.
Would and I don't. I'm gonna ask you for your permission on this because I don't want to assume anything. Would Emil know anything about how to wake a torpid kindred before they've had time to heal?
I would think that given Emil's history, that you probably have had some type of experience with that.
Uh, Standing back away from like kind of in the room with the where the altar was, as Paul's going into the room with Dr. Ford, he's just gonna kind of pull the decanter up close to his nose
Mm-hmm.
and try to pull the cork out just like halfway to see if he can't get a smell of it.
The cork itself is so brittle and old that if you try to take it out, it will just crumble to nothing.
Hmm. Okay. He will do what he didn't want to do, and with the cork, like with the mouth of the decanter, like right up next to his nose, he'll activate heightened senses.
Okay. You are going to definitely get a scent of old cork.
Yeah.
But past that, um, can I get a current willpower roll? Difficulty
Oh,
3.
oh no. What have I done? I currently have no willpower spent, so
You should be at full willpower. So
yeah.
difficulty 3.
Oh no. Is it just willpower? Is this like a hunger frenzy?
Yes, it's like a
Okay.
temptation hunger roll.
Okay. Would I add the 1/3 of my humanity rounded down to this, or just my willpower?
1/3 of your humanity rounded down.
Okay. It's lower than it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay. This is incredibly potent, and you can identify it as kindred. And it is very tempting, frenzy or not, to save this treat for yourself.
Okay. Kind of feeling that burning sensation in the back of the throat, the swelling of the beast. Uh, Emil's going to like put his hand over the mouth, like holding the decanter in his left hand, putting his right hand over the top of it, and just putting his arm straight, like straightening his arms far down away from his nose as he tips his head up, and just kind of like takes a second to compose himself.
Yeah, that little voice in the back of your head is like, ooh, that smells familiar.
Familiar.
Yeah, as the voice of your quote unquote sire.
Yeah, of course it does. He will put the decanter. Uh, can it fit in like his coat pocket, or would he have to put it in like his
It's a little big to fit in a coat pocket.
Okay, I kind of imagine he has like a travel bag,
Hmm.
like every when he goes out, like would it be able to fit in like a uh inside that, you think?
Oh, I would think so. I
Okay.
do want to say something real quick.
Yep.
I am giving you guys an out to wake up Benny.
Oh, okay.
That's
Okay.
that's what this is.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I
Benny doesn't have to just sit there in silence through the whole game
Yeah.
No,
session.
it's a treat for Emil later.
Um.
We're good.
I
I'm
was just
enjoying.
making sure.
Yeah.
Uh.
No,
So
I'm letting you know what the ST's intention is on
yeah.
that
I
decanter.
yeah. I apologize too, because like Dr. Ford does not look well.
Yeah.
So my intention was for Paul to lead her of like kind of help get her started, and then try to wake up Benny. Like that was my intention.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to point that out
If
before
it
we
was
went like another hour of gameplay, and
yeah,
Benny's still
no,
just on the floor with a knife in his
no,
chest.
Emil very much wants to wake up Benny. I was trying to be like, if it was enough to provoke me to want a frenzy, and I'm
Yeah,
not even that hungry, like Dr. Ford looks like she's been through hammered hell.
that's very true.
He's not trying to end up with another torpid code, remember?
Yeah, no, that's very very true.
So he
Now
will
when yeah.
he just puts it in his bag and walks into the other room.
Okay.
So when you get in the other room, I'd like to think that Dr. Ford has started to crawl her way over to where Benny is, and is in the process of removing the knife from his chest.
Okay. It's a little bit of a sword of the stone kind of situation because it's stuck in his rib cage, or actually probably just like right through his sternum. But you can, with some wiggling, get it out without a problem.
Mm-hmm.
With a sickening pop, the dagger comes out of his chest.
So she's gonna once she's got the dagger out, she's just gonna kind of fall over onto the ground again. So she's just laying down next to Benny.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, can you help Dr. Ford to her feet and get her started down the path?
Yes.
I'm going to wake Benjamin up. But Dr. Ford, you look like hammered hell, and I'm not risking you also frenzying on us.
You're gonna wake him up
Yes, I'm going to wake him up.
with your blood.
No, not with
I
my blood.
I've got to say that's got to be probably very very insulting to a mill. With your blood.
Yeah. Actually, I think he just kind of looks at her and goes, "That's what you're concerned about right now?"
Aggravated willpower damage.
Sorry, that was a good joke.
No.
So, she is just kind of like, in her mind, she's thinking in terms of like a blood bond. So that's where her brain is at,
Yeah, yeah.
as far as this situation goes. Um, so not your blood.
Oh, please get Dr. Ford out of the room. Dr. Ford, it would behoove you to not use any form of heightened sense of smell until you are sure that Benjamin and I are on our way behind you.
Whose blood?
Now, Paul.
Paul
You
is.
have a blood bag?
Yeah, but Emil's just ignoring her. And I should clarify, like, Emil's demeanor is very different than it normally is.
Paul is kneeling and sort of picking up Dr. Ford. One arm under her shoulders, under her arms, and one arm under her, behind her knees, I guess. And he'll stand in.
Yeah, she will not fight the help that you're providing her, but she'll look at you and go, "Do you know what he's going to do?"
Emil is going to start dragging Benny into the room with all the money.
Mm-hmm.
And as he's doing that, in case he wakes up still in the throes of frenzy, I'd like to give you two as much of a head start as possible. And he's going to start dragging him back into the other room.
I'll look down at Dr. Ford and shrug. No, I don't, but he trusted me, so I'll trust him. And then he'll walk towards the entrance that they came through.
Okay.
I have to say this out of character really quick. You have no idea how bad I wanted to be like, when you said with your blood, to be like, you know it's rude to ask a lady her age.
Oh man. So Dr. Ford is just going to be kind of staring straight into Paul's eyes as best she can, and just go like, you do understand what it would mean if Emil was able to blood bind Benny.
I understand what that would mean, but it doesn't seem like he's using his own blood. And it takes more than one taste, doesn't it?
Yeah. It'll take more than one taste to get him up from there. At least it might.
Well, I found a bottle of something. Maybe he plans to use that.
A bottle of something.
Something old.
Something borrowed.
Something that was kept down here.
The
And something
ghost.
hidden.
The ghost was screaming about Vaclav and something else. There was something else. Something about the Premisil. Does he know what is in that vial or that decanter? If it's kindred blood, does he know whose?
I don't think either of us do. I left it alone.
She's just gonna feed it to him.
I suppose so. It's either that or bring it back to get fed from one of the elders who are awake now.
Which is not ideal. Well, whatever. Are we going back or are we going forward? What was his decision apparently?
We're going back.
Okay. We'll go back.
Okay, so you guys are heading back down the tunnel?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you want to go ahead and do those wits plus insight rolls, Paul, we can go ahead and get that part out of the way, and then we will run the interesting scene that we have coming up. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say that you're able to find your way out without much of a problem.
All right.
It's such an odd hall, though. Just the stairs going in every such direction. It had to have taken hundreds of years to build this. All right.
And we have like. Oh, never mind.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say we have no sense of how deep or high we are. We could be back above ground, right?
You
And
are
now we're
you're pretty sure that in the tunnels with the stairs, that is definitely underground.
okay.
The actual room that you were in with Dr. Ford and Benny and all that could have been above ground. The only thing that you really know, aside from the description that I gave before, and I'm actually very sorry that I completely forgot to give this description before, but the room is, like, the closer you got to the room, the hotter everything got also.
Mm. Okay.
So, what does Emil do?
1 second, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Emil is going to drag Benny back into the other room.
Yes, that room is very hot.
The one with all the wealth in it.
Yes. It's probably it is the hottest room that you've been in here so far. It just keeps getting increasingly hot.
Increasingly hot. Oh dear.
Yes.
Pull out the decanter and is going to sorry. he is going to make sure, or like check, kind of go over Benny one more time, like making sure that he is the only wound that he seems to have really sustained is the knife wound to his chest.
Benny, how much damage have you taken physically? Because I know that you have. Let's see. Yeah. How much combat did you see last session?
It wasn't the combat that got me. It was,
Yeah, no, I know. I think it's primarily just the knife wound.
Yeah, it was just the knife.
Yeah.
Okay.
All the blood that's on him does not look like it's his own.
Okay. And just for bookkeeping, Dr. Ford did take his dagger, or did she just pulled it out?
She
she
pulled it
took
out.
it.
Okay.
I want to say she took it.
Huh?
I want to say she took it.
Yeah.
Okay. So he'll prop Benny up and kind of inspect his wounds, make sure that he's not like, severely messed up. Okay. Let's try to wake you up. And he holds the decanter in his hands for a second, and you see a look of concern mixed with like a look of temptation on his face about the decanter.
Mm-hmm.
And he just sets the decanter down next to Benny and will extend his fangs and bite his wrist and see if he can't feed enough of his own blood to Benny really quick. Like, if feeding his blood to Benny will wake him up.
Okay.
So I'll need to
Well,
make a rouse check.
yes, you'll have to make a rouse check. Benny, you're going to have to take a point of blood bonding.
I do not get hungry.
I'm cool with that.
And I do believe, Benny, you're going to have an issue with this later. Because you are now tasting a different kindred's vitae.
No, I have noxious blood.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I let you take the alternate bane. Lucky. All right. All right. I guess we just need to compare. We need to compare blood potencies. Who has the higher blood potency?
I'm at blood potency 2.
Then it is not me.
The blood goes into his mouth and passively slides down his throat. It still will produce the blood bond, but it does not seem to do anything else.
Okay. Does it reduce hunger?
It does reduce hunger by 1, yes. All right, so what does Emil do when his blood seems to do nothing?
He will reach across and grab the decanter and pull the disintegrating cork out.
It crumbles under your fingers. Most of it falls out of the bottle. A little bit falls in.
And he is going to... he starts to pour it, like he starts to go toward Benny's mouth with it, like he waves, kind of wafts it under his nose like smelling salt. And as he's about to pour it, he stops and he's going to like take a mouthful of it and immediately kiss Benny and pour it down his throat.
Aww. Does Emil have any damage?
No.
Okay. You take a mouthful of it?
Yep.
Okay. You are automatically going to go to 0 hunger.
Oh.
And you pour the rest down the gullet of the Banu Hakim?
Yep.
Okay. Right before your eyes, the knife wound knits. You can see everything completely just clean up. And within seconds, Benny is going to wake up at a hunger of 0 with no damage.
Oh,
and
God.
you're going to feel like you've just been injected with adrenaline.
Yeah, that snap tooth. Yeah. Whoa.
Mill's
I'm just kind of
like,
reminded of that scene in Iron Man 2 where he puts the new arc reactor in and he's like, oh, it tastes like coconut.
yeah. Emil,
Over at Emil.
noticing his eyes shoots up, will back kind of pull away from the kiss of feeding him the blood.
Mm-hmm.
Good to see you're with us again.
Oh. Where am I? What are you doing here? Where's Dr. Ford?
Dr. Ford is fine.
Big
You're
suit of armor guy.
What'd you say?
Big suit of armor guy.
Dealt with.
You can see the suit of armor on the floor, just basically face down on the stone.
How long was I out?
Not very long.
What damage did the beast do?
Dr. Ford's had a rough night. 2 good glasses of blood, and maybe a good lay, and she'll be in better mood, better spirits. Are you okay?
Physically? Never felt better.
Yeah, the stuff I used to wake you up, just the taste of it has me like energized as well. I can only imagine what consuming it feels like.
Oh. I'm telling you now, if I were still alive, my pupils would be like so dilated. This is amazing.
I think his pupils probably are incredibly dilated.
Well,
They're also kind of yellow. Not the pupils. Sorry, the irises around the pupils are yellow.
So you feel good? You feel yourself?
I feel like I was freshly embraced.
And I imagine Emil's only getting like half of that.
Yeah, what color are Emil's eyes?
They're a very like like a very off hazel color.
Okay.
Usually.
So your eyes are actually kind of burning yellow as well a little bit. Not as bright as Benny's, but it's still noticeable.
Okay. Your eyes look different. Just making sure you're good.
He'll look at you in your eyes. Your eyes look different too?
He'll kind of hold up the decanter. Must have been some good stuff. All right.
Wait, did you Sleeping Beauty me?
Emil will kind of stand up and offer you a hand. Pull you up off the floor.
Taking the hand.
Yeah. Let's go catch up with the others. And he gives you a quick kiss on the cheek and then just starts walking.
Stunned for a second, like, and then just quickly catch up to him.
Emil's feeling lovey today.
Emil's feeling worried. It's Boo. Benny's Boo. Don't fuck with Benny.
Okay, so are you guys heading out now too?
Yeah.
I need Emil to throw me a wits plus awareness plus your Auspex roll when you get back out into the stairs.
Okay. 3, I can willpower.
You don't need to. With a 3,
Okay.
you can smell the wounds on Dr. Ford.
Mm.
And you're able to, like, trail your way all the way out.
Okay.
Is Ford okay? I tried to help her and it didn't end well.
It would appear you've had more than your fill of Dr. Ford, but she is going to be okay.
I owe her an apology.
Yes, well. Noticing that Benny's looking for his dagger, he says, Dr. Ford has your dagger.
Good.
Would you like, and he'll reach under and pull out the pistol. Would you like this pistol? Protect yourself.
He pats his shotgun.
Oh, you've got a shotgun with you. Okay.
Yeah,
I misunderstood that. Very well.
that's about my skill level of shooting.
They're far too clunky for my tastes. I guess you'll just have to trust me to protect you then.
Oh Lord, me being protected by a Toreador. What would my sire think?
I will have you all come back together at the room in the tunnels that has the 10-way split.
Okay.
So, yes, I'll have you guys meet up out there.
Feeling like noticing that the Dr. Ford scent's getting stronger as we're getting closer.
Mm-hmm.
Emil will stop half a second and pull out his handkerchief and be sure to wipe his lips off, and then put the handkerchief back. Wipe the blood off of his lips.
Okay.
We're getting closer. Looks like you'll have time to give that apology anyway. To Dr. Ford sooner than later.
The idea of it, losing myself to the beast. It's something I don't do.
So Dr. Ford is most likely just kind of bracing herself against one of the, I guess, one of the entryways to one of the tunnels in that room, just kind of catching a moment for her to not technically get her breath back, but just to kind of exist in the pain that she's experiencing in the moment.
Yeah.
As we come into the like 10-way split area, Emil's just saying it's unfortunately a side effect of our condition, Benny. You are it's no more shameful for you than it is for anyone. Don't blame yourself.
He's looking at his feet, just walking.
All
When he
right.
gets where he can see Dr. Ford, he'll look up. Give her a nod.
So in that moment when she sees him, she is still holding the dagger in one hand, so he can still see that, and she just kind of looks at him, not with anger or disappointment or anything. She just kind of, I guess, a tired look.
He'll put out his hand for the dagger.
She'll linger for a moment, but she will hand it back to him.
And he'll open up his wrist for her.
gosh. Did not expect that.
I know the look. You need this more than I do. It's partly my fault you're like this.
So she's going to do what she can to kind of resist drinking from him directly. And she's going to try to say, "What did he
You're at a
feed you?"
hunger of 5, right?
I know.
Yeah, you're gonna have to go ahead and throw that test.
Uh-huh.
If need be, I have the flask that I can empty it into, so that way she's not drinking directly from it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you're gonna be able to resist.
Yeah. We're gonna try. It's composure and resolve?
It's your
Or
current
It's
unspent
your
willpower
current
plus
it's your current
1/3 of your
willpower.
humanity.
oh, okay. So just 3 dice then.
Plus 1/3 of your humanity rounded down.
Oh. So okay, so I'll be rolling 5 dice. And it doesn't matter if they're hunger dice or not, because they're that's 2 successes.
2 successes. Before he can even finish his sentence, you're gonna snatch that cup out of his hands, and you're
The
downing.
flask.
Yeah, you're gonna just snatch the flask out of his hands and just start downing the blood. And I would say that you lose yourself into it, except for the fact that you are going to gain your composure almost immediately after drinking it. And do me a favor and roll your stamina plus your would be a good one for this because I'm making shit up. Roll your stamina plus your blood sorcery.
Oh, okay. And do I want me to do it as like with hunger dice?
Oh yeah, no, it's a standard roll.
Okay.
I rolled 2 rouse checks to see if I got hungrier for giving her blood.
Okay.
One,
Wow.
2, 3, 4, 5 successes.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and tell you to go ahead and heal that many wounds.
Oh wow.
Starting with the aggravated.
Okay, and I think aggravated takes 3.
No, just heal that many wounds.
So all 5 of my aggravated?
Heal your aggravated damage, yes.
All 5. Whoa. Okay.
There is something in Benny's blood right now that is forcing you to heal.
Something really strange. Do I get any hunger slaked?
How many were you giving Dr. Ford, Benny?
2.
2?
2
you can heal 3 hunger.
Wow.
And that's because this is second hand.
Does Dr. Ford's eyes change colors like Benny's in the Mills?
Yes. What color are Dr. Ford's eyes?
So I never actually thought about what the actual shade of her eyes, irises would be.
Okay.
But you were saying that the whites of their eyes were turning yellow?
No, the
irises.
The irises.
Okay.
So like if you have brown eyes, they turn yellow. If you have blue eyes, they turn to a brilliant ice blue. If you have green eyes, they turn emerald. It's basically what happens when you lose humanity also.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not taking away your humanity. Don't worry about it. It's just a side effect from the blood.
Oh man. Let's just say her eyes are green. I'll note that on her character sheet too.
Okay. Your eyes take on a brilliant emerald color.
So with that, even though she still has the blood stains and everything, her wounds have by and large healed.
Yes.
The probably the only wound that has not healed is the slight gash on her side from when the sword came down on her. And she just kind of sways there for a moment, holding the flask in her hand, and her eyes blink again, and she says, "What did he feed you?"
Nitroglycerin. I don't know.
Yeah, you're feeling really good right now, Dr. Ford.
But again, I owed you. I apologize for what the beast did. I don't like to be out of control. Ever.
In a way, we both were out of control. The only person who seemed to have a grasp on the self was Mr. Prophet. She looks around for the first
don't
time.
even say that. Don't let him hear you say that.
Yeah, you're not seeing Dr. Prophet around anywhere. Or you're not seeing Mr. Prophet around anywhere.
So, how much of the evening has passed? Can we tell from inside this cave, anyway?
From inside the cave, you really can't tell. I mean, if you check your watches or phones, it's probably approaching like 4 in the morning.
Are we going to have enough time to make it back to the Elysium before sunrise?
And without Mr. Prophet?
You have about 2.5 hours before sunrise.
Okay.
Do we look for Prophet or leave him to his own devices?
Mr. Prophet is rather resourceful. If nothing else, I'm sure he'll be able to manage.
He may be resourceful, but sometimes he's not that observant.
This may sound unexpected, but I would like to stay here and keep exploring until sunrise.
So we do our day sleep down here?
Well, hopefully the dead won't wake again.
Dr. Ford, I understand you've been through quite the traumatic experience, but have you lost your fucking mind?
At least once tonight.
It seems to be going around.
The three of you charged off without us into, presumably, for everything that we knew at the time, a series of tunnels likely regularly traversed by Catherine Weiss. Both of you nearly died. And you want to sleep here while we are vulnerable to whomever may come across us. Or whatever may come across us.
So my understanding of the ward is that it had not been disturbed for perhaps 1,000 years. Probably just a fewer. So that entrance in of itself is not regularly traversed by Catherine Weiss. And if she knows that the ward has been broken, there's nothing she can do during the day about that.
I say we close the door. It is a safe place. I have to agree with Dr. Ford on this. You know,
Nothing she can do about it. We're
As far as we
speaking
can tell.
of a...
I'm quite at home in crypts.
You are referring to one of the most dangerous kindred on this earth, and have the audacity and confidence to say there is nothing she can do?
During
If she
the
knows,
day.
if she knows that the wards are broken, what's to stop her from sending 24 of her mortal retainers to scour the tunnels until they find the source of what broke the ward?
So she has 24 mortal retainers?
She could have 200
We
mortal
don't
retainers at
know.
any given time at her beck and call. We have no idea. You were talking
Dangers
about
of awakened elders.
out of character, Mekhet.
Yes.
Did the phone call I had, didn't they say that Catherine Weiss was an anathema?
They have under suspicion that Catherine Weiss, heavy suspicion that Catherine Weiss is a Katarina the Wise. So if that is her, then yes, she is probably one of the most wanted members as being the Archbishop of New York City when it was Sabat.
Okay. I think Emil is kind of shook enough that like he's gonna be a little more loose-lipped than usual. We don't know the reaches of mortal influence or sway that she holds. She's one of the most infamous anathema to the Camarilla. The Archbishop of New York, the instigator of Prague, and you want to test that theory that she can't do anything during the day. I'm sorry, Dr. Ford, but if you wish to test this theory, you will do it on your own. Or without me at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
I wish you the best of luck, I truly do, but I don't wish to take that risk.
We can return tomorrow night.
You said
I
you've
don't
broken
think
the
the
ward.
ward is going to be reset anytime soon.
Precisely my line of thinking. If the ward is broken, and we get here first thing after sunset, it's very unlikely that any of her mortals could perform the type of sorcery needed. God forbid she has a mortal sorcerer under her thumb.
Dr. Ford is just kind of silent and she's thinking it over right now.
Vinny will extend his hand to her. It's not worth the fight. We've had a long night. Let's get somewhere where we can relax and be safe.
She relents. She
Thank
gives
you.
Benny her hand.
Thank you for hearing reason.
I'm concerned that the entrance is going to be discovered during the day. It is a cemetery in a historically significant location, and with a destroyed headstone, someone's going to notice something.
The headstone got destroyed?
Look, we didn't destroy
the
the
seal.
headstone. We should
The
be
seal,
able to
sorry.
just reclose the door.
Yeah.
So that way the warded emblem that's slightly missing will be covered. And it'll just be a brick wall again.
And we can pick up whatever remains of the symbol there is on the ground, throw them back in the tomb, reset the headstone, close the door, and be on our way.
Okay.
We can come back and explore this place and when we have more than half a night to do so, and half of our coterie isn't 2 steps from torpor. Or missing in Mr. Prophet's case.
Or high as a kite.
Or high as a kite. He kind of winks.
Not gonna lie, feeling real good right now. Feel like I could take on a lupine.
Let's not get overzealous.
If you want to add an item to Catherine Weiss's resume, just put blood sorceress on there. Advanced blood sorceress. At least she was 1,000 years ago.
Yes, well.
Let me tell you, it doesn't go away.
Mm-mm.
Based on the contact information that I received while I was on the phone, I believe that is already designated on her resume, as she put it.
It's just one detail you didn't mention in an attempt to dissuade me from any potential encounter with her.
Well, given your particular, shall I say, talent with blood sorcery, I was afraid to mention it considering it may incentivize you to want to meet her. And he kind of turns and starts to walk.
Be honest, like so as you walk away, she's going to follow. She's just going to say, to be honest, it's one of the things that scares me most about her.
Good to see that you've not lost all your sense of reason.
Following behind.
Following behind.
Okay.
With a suspicious sack.
If Emil gets like a few steps past Paul and goes and turns back around with a finger in his face, and don't think that I've forgotten that you have some explaining to do. And keeps walking.
Wait. What's in the bag?
Something for another time. I'll tell you guys when we get out of this.
It's a special tool that'll help us later.
Sure it is. All right. So you guys are leaving the tunnels?
Yeah.
Okay. So finding your way out is not a big deal. You walk out of the the tunnel that led to the path of Cain, and you leave the other 9 tunnels behind, heading straight out towards the area that leads you directly up into the old Jewish cemetery. And when you get there, you find the seal shattered on the ground, the door left wide open, and yeah, actually, that's pretty much about it.
Try to pick up. Can we touch the seal?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, the seal is shattered into a whole bunch of pieces. The locks themselves are broken on the ground. Some of them look like they've had chemical damage, burns on them.
Let's get these pushed back into the tomb and then seal it. Mill will start trying to pick up pieces and locks and throwing them inside the the sepulcher.
Yeah, they're all pretty chunky pieces of metal. If you try to move, like when you pick up the parts of the locks themselves that have fallen off of the seal, most of them just kind of like fall to pieces as you touch them.
Okay. Just not worrying about little bits and pieces here and there, but just trying to pick up enough so that it doesn't look like something obvious had disturbed this area.
Yeah.
Cover our tracks.
Okay.
Once everything's in, try and move the headstone so that way.
When you push the headstone back to where it was, the outer door just kind of slides back into place with the sound of grinding stone. And it doesn't look like you guys were ever there, except for a few pieces of loose metal on the ground.
See, no harm, no foul.
I guess, and a couple of shotgun shells.
Ooh, I'll pick up those.
Yeah.
Shall we head back to Elysium?
Yes, I think it would probably be for the best.
There's certainly no objections here.
Let's get somewhere safe.
Mhm.
It's been
Okay.
a rough night.
You guys will make it back to the Elysium with about an hour or so to spare before sunrise. Do you do anything when you get there?
Yes.
But what?
He just asked if I did anything. He didn't ask me what. No, I'm just kidding.
What are you doing when you get
No.
back to the Elysium?
Freaking out.
Emil is going to Maya's bar
Okay.
and is going to get the largest and most expensive glass of wine that she has available and remember what it was like to be able to get drunk by just drinking alcohol.
Do you just want wine itself? Or mixed with
Uh,
anything?
can he? Is there enough supply of blood to have it mixed in blood?
I would say that they have a steady supply coming in through, like, blood drives and things like that. Most of the kindred who are drinking blood at the Elysium are actually having it mixed with other drinks, just so they don't have to taste the plasticky smell or the plasticky taste of the blood bags, and also the chemical taste of the separated blood.
He's not really that hungry, so he'll have it just lightly mixed in with some blood, just so that maybe he gets a little bit of a buzz
Okay.
over the course of an entire bottle.
All right. She is happy to supply.
What I wouldn't have done for this kind of tolerance when I was mortal.
All right. So Emil is going drinking. What about everybody else?
Does Paul have any idea or instruction on what to do with this thing once he's found it?
You need to get it back to where you got your instructions. Do you have? Let's see.
I do not.
You do not have.
I took the other one.
Okay. I would say now that you have it, you could make a rouse check followed by a resolve plus oblivion score, and I will let you do that as a basically as a response to what happened earlier.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily you using it, but it is you reactivating it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
Paul's gone. He's dead.
yeah.
No.
You're not dead. I mean, it wasn't.
Willpower some of those.
It's not your rouse check. Plus, you got 2 successes, 3 successes total.
Okay.
So you should be fine. But basically, what's going to end up happening is while you're in the middle of the Elysium and you're thinking about, okay, so I need to do as directed, the shadows are just going to swallow you. Like, everybody is going to see, like, you just sucked out of existence as the shadows gather around you.
As he sits in a chair, it just falls through.
Yeah, pretty much. So if Paul would like to join me again behind closed doors, we can see what happens. Okay. So rather dramatically, you disappear from the Elysium. Yeah. And you find yourself in that same chamber. The chambers...
This is the Friends of the Night, not the Cult of Shalim.
You took the Cult of Shalim, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of like an ex-member, but I figured the Friends of the Night probably, also.
Well, that's the thing is the Friends of the Night. The Friends of the Night are the Cult of Shalim.
Oh.
So like it's like their public face. We're the council. We're the council of Clan Lasombra. Blah blah blah. And like behind closed doors, they're like, and we do culty shit on the weekends.
I did not know that. Cool.
So it really depends. Like if you don't have Cult of Shalim, it's just the Amisi Noxus. But if you do have Cult of Shalim, you're in on a little bit more of their secrets. Okay. So the room that you're in seems to be carved from obsidian for the most part. Like the tiles, they're highly reflective, which is very off-putting. With all of these Lasombra, you can see the reflections, but there's no reflections of anybody in the room. And you just have your 13 members who are sitting at a table that's slightly elevated, kind of like a jury. But they stare down. They stare down at you as you re-enter the room, and the shadow gets absorbed into the reflections of the floor.
And they're all. Are they all like in Tenebrous form, basically? Like they're all just like shadow people?
For the most part, yes. They're very... You know that these are members of the Amisi Noctis, but you don't really know which ones. But yes, they'd all be cloaked in shadow.
He'll hold forth the bag.
Okay.
I brought what was asked of me.
In this room, even through the bag, the gauntlet seems to have an unnatural glow to it. Some of them actually seem to back up a little bit as some of them like back up a little bit as they're presented with it. But one of them, a very tall, very slender figure, will stand up and come around, and as she steps forward and her tenebrous form recoils back into itself, it's Lucida de Aragorn. Which, from your knowledge, was the Archbishop of Madrid. Last you heard. So this is a Prime Sabbat member who is coming forward and puts her arms out to take it from you.
Paul will sort of bow his head and hold the bag forward for her.
Okay. She is wearing black velvet gloves, and she will unwrap it. She'll smile at you as she holds it. It's a dull colored metal. Like it looks worthless. Like it looks like some kind of just old piece of armor that couldn't possibly be used for anything. And as she takes it from you and smiles down at you, because she is significantly taller, she is going to look at you and say, "Do you have any idea what this is?"
No, I don't.
She runs her gloved hand, along the side of the relic, and there's almost imperceptible clasps, which she hits, and it opens almost like a box. Like this isn't an actual gauntlet. It's a reliquary. It's something that is meant to hold the relic inside, but it's shaped like a gauntlet. And she opens it and reveals to you this withered, almost mummified hand and forearm that's been cut halfway off of the arm itself, before the elbow, that just radiates this "do not touch it" energy. This is the arm of Saint George, the arm of the dragon killer. We have great plans for the Tzimisce with this, and we owe it to you.
Probably almost has to resist taking a step back whenever kind of that aura hits him in full blast. He sort of bows his head as she begins to speak.
Is there anything that we can do for you to repay you for your efforts?
Honestly, there's nothing at this time I can think of. I'm just honored to be of service.
Out of question, really quick, does Paul have any? Does Paul have any of the Amici Noctis's or the Cult of Shalim's rituals?
He has, like the ones you get from the lore sheet, or like the Oblivion, ceremonies.
The Oblivion ceremonies that are specifically for the Cult of Shalim.
He does not.
They are going to offer you tutelage if you want them.
Oh, absolutely.
How high is your Oblivion at the moment?
It's at 5.
You're at 5. Okay, so you have full access to any of these if you want to take time to learn them.
Absolutely.
I believe there's only 3 rituals. You have options to take Traveler's Call, Name of the Father, or Pit of Contemplation. And they will teach you all of them if you want. But they are going to offer you membership into the Cult of Shalim fully if you are interested.
Yeah, he's absolutely interested. He will accept. Is there like a time, like a timeline for learning these, or are they gonna teach him like one now and?
You can learn them as is to your convenience.
Okay. Yeah, let's see. I think he doesn't have the prerequisite for Name of the Father. Shadow Perspective.
I am going to make the executive decision, as I have with all Oblivion. I'm not making you have prerequisites.
Okay. Cool.
I don't like the prerequisites for Oblivion. They're too limited.
Well, the Pit of Contemplation is pretty sick.
Okay. They will teach you them in whatever order you want, since you have the ability to learn them all.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go for that one first.
Okay. Very cool. You can come to learn whenever you want. Lucida is going to hand you a book, like a small book that'll fit in your pocket. It seems to be made out of black leather. The pages have a very strange vellum feel to them. If you want to know what they're made out of, we can do an you can do you can do a wits plus academics or a I think wits plus academics is probably the only role for that.
Yeah, that's all right. He's better off not knowing,
I'd
probably.
rather not know. Yes, and it has basically the information that you need for the rituals. The they will offer you the tutelage, but in there is also a ritual that works as a scroll. It'll be on the very last page. She will point it out, and it is another ritual that anybody can use. So be very careful not to let anybody have this, and your rituals will not work unless you have this book. I believe that's actually part of the prerequisites of having this. Most of the things that are in this book is just a list of names of members of the Call to Shalene. But the very last page is a ritual called the Ritual of Walk the Abyss. And it basically is shadow step directly into this chamber.
Okay.
So
I can get back.
Yes, you can get back whenever you need to. You just have to sacrifice. You basically just have to do a rouse check. And spill some blood on this page, and it will open. You can actually tell that the book is like highly stained in blood.
All right.
Okay.
He'll accept that and thank them profusely.
They thank you actually, and welcome you to the cult. All right, so we have Emil drinking. We have Paul got sucked into the shadows. What about Dr. Ford and Benny?
I'm going out to try and find where Dr. Ford is.
So Dr. Ford is probably was probably a witness to the shadows swallowing up Paul, and she's just kind of
Oh yes, it was a highly dramatic event.
yes, she's just kind of like caught off guard by that, but at the same time, she's just kind of staring at the spot where he was.
Okay, so Benny, you can find Dr. Ford fairly easily.
Find her staring at a chair.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting chair. Kind of
So
waves
our
in front of Dr. Ford.
Our Peter Pan has a shadow that occasionally eats him.
What?
Yeah. So. Yeah. You've got questions.
Dr. Ford has sensed the unseen, right?
Yes, she does.
Okay, the feeling, not the sight, but the feeling of Paul being basically absconded into the shadows. You felt it several times before now. You felt it earlier tonight when Paul disappeared, and you also felt it at the antique store when Paul disappeared then, too.
So she's just going to turn to Benny and ask an interesting question. Do we know how Paul joined the Camarilla? Does anyone?
La Sombra Voodoo? I don't know.
So I've heard of the deal with La Sombra joining the Camarilla, but I've never specifically asked Paul how it worked out for him, whether he was embraced before or after, and what his relationship with the rest of his clan is like. I understand he doesn't seem to have a sense of pride in being at La Sombra, but that's all I've clocked.
I've had so little interactions with La Sombra. They're more of a theory than anything for me.
Well, technically, he's the first Lasombra that I've had any dealings with, but I've heard plenty. But how much of it is true and how much of it's relevant to him?
He's the first one I've had cordial dealings with.
Oh. So you've had to negotiate strenuously others in the past, so to speak.
We defend our cities as we must.
As we must.
Would you care to go to a room? I think we need to discuss a few things.
Yes. I imagine there's a number of things we should talk about without as many ears pointed in our direction.
Gesture for you to lead.
And she'll follow / lead / whatever.
I take it you're going back to your room, or are you going to some other place?
I was just going to go back to our room.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if she goes elsewhere, I'll follow.
Yeah, so that's where she'll end up going.
Yeah.
Okay, I do believe it is just the two of you in that room right now.
So she'll just kind of, once she enters the room, she'll kind of turn around and just say, "Where would you like to start?"
The beginning is always the best place, he says as he shuts the door. If there's a door.
There is a privacy door, and then there's also the portcullis, so up to you.
Shutting the privacy door.
So, which beginning in particular are you thinking of?
Number one, I need to begin with an apology.
Yeah, it was rather unfortunate that in the moment you couldn't keep it together.
Occasionally the beast overtakes us all, I know. But in the end, I took back control long enough to take myself out of the equation. That was a choice.
Yeah. And I recognized that in the moment, and I think that was the moment that I too realized that I had just made some serious mistakes as well. Now, my first thought when I saw you go down at your own hand was that I would make sure that I could wake you up from torpor by any means necessary. And since the unique problem of my clan is that we cannot blood bond other kindred, that I would be using my own blood to wake you back up. But Emil used some blood he just found laying around.
I don't know what it was, but it was powerful. Look at what it did for you. Through me.
Mm-hmm. But was that... So I didn't even get a chance to fully investigate that room. I know that there was the coffin that the corpse came out of, not the one that we spoke to in Czech, but the one that spoke to us in English, ranting about Vaclav and all this other stuff. I got the impression that for some reason it might be speaking in third person, like it itself was Vaclav. But
the one in the suit?
I don't know. It made little sense.
It's all kind of hazy for me. The fog of the beast.
I do know that we were close to the church, and learning a way to access the church and possibly remove the arm of St. George could end the fire.
Well,
And for a moment there, I was willing to throw myself at the mercy at any hunter or any other kindred who would also have ulterior motives or other plans with those tunnels the moment that we gained access to them.
problem with getting into the church is fire still burns.
Yes. But if there would be a way to remove or to destroy the arm, then I would have taken it.
Obsession is not a good thing. Especially for us.
No. But
That way
see,
madness lies.
I would have been willing to give you that arm in exchange for the 2 Tremere that you mentioned to me some time ago. The 2 that your sire or grandsire have taken into custody.
That's a long journey. But
Not me personally. I understand that there are so many things that our 2 clans cannot seem to agree about. The Tremere voted against the entry of the Banu Hakim to the Camarilla. There was the blood curse. There was the slandering. The elders of my clan and the elders of your clan, I do not believe they will likely ever see eye to eye on anything.
I don't know how much you know about my clan, but right now the elders of my clan can't see eye to eye with each other. We didn't join the Camarilla because we needed a place to hide.
And the Tremere need to rebuild from what we have lost. And I believe that our 2 clans can cooperate for mutual benefit. And if we don't, we could both be destroyed by ourselves or each other. So I suppose if there was a way to return those Tremere that your sire has taken into custody to the pyramid, I want to know, what would it cost?
I have no idea if those 2 are still even around. I practice restraint.
But others of your clan do not.
There's a history.
A bloodied history.
Also, a tradition, culture that I do respect, and it has kept us safe for centuries, millennia even, which is why I respect it. In times where we had no one, we had our clan. I'm learning to trust all of these new Camarilla friends we have. But sometimes no one makes it easy.
Sometimes we can't afford to make it easy, either for personal or for grander reasons.
You can't keep friends at an arm's length. Hopefully you know by my actions tonight, I'm looking to protect my friends, even if it is from me.